All right. I'm Casey Campbell here with Great Lakes Post, and we are once again talking to another driver. This time it's someone I've always wanted to interview and never had the chance to. Ron Capps, of course, driver of the NAPA Funny Car for Don Schumacher Racing. He'll be, of course, competing this week at the Gator Nationals. Ron, how are you, man?
I'm good. I've got my Big Daddy shirt on. I think when you go down to that territory, you gotta think Big Daddy Don Garlis, and it's always a legendary race. And I was lucky enough to be able to win it before with my crew chief Ed McCulloch back in like 2007, something like that. And then, of course, with Ron Tobler a couple of years ago, we won it. So I'd like to do it again. Right now, we need to. We got to move up in the points. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, the Gator National is always a very important race. Of course, this was the race that was supposed to be ran when all the COVID stuff hit. What's it like to finally get to go and run this race, even though it's instead of in March, it's in September?
Yeah, strange. I was just looking at the weather. I'm kind of race week. There's so much, excitement, for all of us. First of all, much like the fans, I'm sure. Then you start looking at the weather. Then you start kind of, getting in that race mode. And I live in California, so I got a pretty long flight. And usually I got a lot of NAPA appearances. We do at least a dinner the night before the race starts. And I remember landing there when this COVID thing hit, and I had a NAPA dinner. Well, my connection in Atlanta, I got the email and a text from everybody saying, turn around and go home. We're not racing there this weekend. And then, of course, I'm watching NASCAR and IndyCar, and they started canceling races. And I jumped on a flight the next day, but I landed and still went and did my dinner with the NAPA people that had driven a couple hours to go have dinner with me. So I was excited about the race. And here I was Friday morning, instead of going to the track like usual. And that's one of the racetracks that we usually have to get up a little earlier than normal and get out there because it is slammed. I mean, there's campers everywhere, and you always see more traffic. And it's cool because the hair on your arm starts standing up when you're driving out there. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like miles of campers and traffic, and it just reminds you how big a race it is. So it was strange to turn around and get on a plane in Gainesville and fly back home the day that we should have been strapping in the race car. That being said, the weather in March is usually, you never know, but it's usually humid and some warmth. And right now it's looking like 80s and some humidity. So it's kind of strange that we're going to see sort of the same weather. There is a chance of some precipitation coming in ahead of time, so it could cool things off. That's just, and it's fine with me. I got a great crew chief in Ron Tobler, and whatever happens, whatever changes happen, I always feel comfortable that we can adapt quickly to them. And that's the art of winning in NHRA, is adapting quickly. And so I'm pumped to get down there and get this big race over with. And we've had 4 races in a row in India, as you know. So it's kind of that monotony of showing up in the same racetracks, kind of the same weather. And now we get to kind of let it all out and venture off to a new place. So it's fun.
Yeah, of course. This season's been interesting for sure, but this is the Gator Nationals. Of course, everybody knows you with of course, your long association with the NAPA people. What has it been like to be a part of, NAPA Auto Parts? And I got to see some of the, sometimes I watch the old commercials that you've been in the past. What has it been like to work with a company like NAPA Auto Parts?
It's been awesome. It was a dream sponsor. Even, when I started, I was driving for the Snake, and we had Skoll in Copenhagen back then, my rookie year. And I was with him for 9 years. And of course, back then, NHRA was sponsored by tobacco as well with Winston early on in my career.
Yeah.
So, when I became Brute Cologne, when I went to Don Schumacher's team, even back then, Gary Selzy, who was my teammate, had an association with NAPA through his company that they made truck beds back in California. And I just always remember, even as a kid, going to with my grandfather, the local NAPA Auto Parts store where I grew up, just, how many there were in every single town, and how cool it would be to have a sponsor like that. And then to progress later on in life and see the commercials they did with Dale Earnhardt Jr., Hornaday, Michael Waltrip, and they were always so funny and weren't afraid to make fun of themselves, and you had Sammy Hagar in some of them, and just, they were all so fun to watch and intriguing, because you think, man, how much better of a sponsor for an auto racer could that be? So when the possibility of Brute leaving our car. And I just heard a rumor roaming through our management team that NAPA Auto Parts wanted to be on my car if Brute did leave. It was like, what? It was so much excitement for me because I thought, God, this would be great. And come to find out the NAPA people thought it'd be great to have him as our driver. So that was just a dream. And so to carry it on this far has been awesome. And, I've approached it like I'm an employee of NAPA. That's the way I approach it. I approach it like I'm that NAPA parts delivery guy and just an extension of what they do. And so it's been a lot of learning, marketing, things like that, of what you do to wake up every morning and try to be better for your sponsor, not even thinking about the race car. And getting to the racetrack on weekends, that's the bonus. I get to drive the race car. So, it's been a dream. Kenny Bernstein, I always looked up to what he did because he was somebody that carried that sponsor. And, you always heard him say it's tough to get a sponsor, but it's the toughest to keep one, especially as long as he did. So, it's nice to know you have a good backing, but it's nice to know you have so many fans that also visit your sponsor, and that's good to know. Plus, you get kids that run up and go, "Hey, Napa!" They don't even know my name, and they'll look at me with my uniform on. I've had moms and dads tell me that their kids will drive by a store and they'll be in a car seat in the back seat, and they'll look at a Napa store and say, "Ron Capps." So that correlation between the two has always been kind of cool.
Yeah. So you've been doing some iRacing lately. I know you've been part of the Monday Night League and all that. You've been doing a lot of iRacing throughout this quarantine. What's that been like?
That was kind of a cool thing that just sort of happened. There's several of the media guys kind of put together this league, and really, I can't remember how I got asked to be in. I knew Kyle Busch was jumping in the same night I did. Parker Klingerman, and a couple of other guys that were professional drivers, and I didn't know I just thought it was another night, and it was like whatever car it was an Indy car, I think, at Fontana, and I thought, oh, this would be fun. And once I got in there, Ford, who sort of started, Ford Martin, who started the league, and then I started looking. I did it the first night. I said, hey, we'd love to have you join us every Monday night. So for me, I always fly home from a race on Monday, and then lately, this last couple months, I'm more excited about flying home on Mondays than I was ever, because I look forward to this race. It's always a different type of car, and it's always a different type of track. And when I log in, it's funny because the fans watching at home, they can watch a stream anywhere. I always post where they can watch it. But the fun part is all the trash talk and stuff that goes on with us drivers within. It's almost like we're radioed together with these other cars, and we're racing each other. And it's been fun because now all of a sudden I've got 3 or 4 nights a week that I've got different races I'm invited to. And it's the cool thing about iRacing is, in fact, a little while ago, I got a message from Bobby Labonte asking if I was in for tonight's race. And so for me, it's weird because Bobby Labonte to me is so cool, and he's always been a hero of mine to be racing iRacing with him and him asking me questions. And it's fun. So the leagues have been a blast. The media race on Monday night especially has been fun because, like I said, Kyle Busch has jumped in a couple times, like last minute. I mean, a couple minutes left in practice, and boom, there goes Kyle. And one was a truck race. He jumped in and won the race, of course. But it's so realistic. But the fact that I can come in here and I can race with media guys that are involved in NASCAR and Formula One and IndyCar, which, it's cool that they follow me in drag racing, but I know who they are, and I follow them and what they write about in their sports and other motorsports. It's been fun. But more than ever, it's just camaraderie. But the trash talking has been bad, and we had these playoffs that just started. And I've seen horns pop out of heads, including mine, where guys are cussing at each other. And you just get so into it. You get so mad if somebody bumps you or spins you, and you forget that you're racing a computer game. And it's easy to press that radio button, but it's forever when it goes out there. And, somebody bumps you or spins you, and somebody, gosh dang you, why'd you, and I don't know how many times I've gotten on an email or sent somebody a message saying, sorry, I yelled at you. I got a little excited, a little upset. So you gotta keep in your mind it's iRacing, but it's tough to do because you're so into it.
Yeah, the competitive side of it. Hey, I got one last thing for you. Of course, this weekend at the Gator Nationals, I know that with the funny cars and stuff, and it's always a competitive field between the DSR and the Colette. I know we don't have the Force cars this year, But what's it going to take to get it done this weekend at the Gator Nationals?
Well, Casey, it's I don't know. I just even when we won the Indy 3 race, a few weeks back, we'd had 2 bad races, and they weren't even bad. We just didn't qualify well, and we got our butts kicked by our teammates early in the day. We know we got to go through our teammates for a championship. All of them are so good. I assume they think the same about our team. But to qualify bad those first 2 races and just get off on a bad foot like that after COVID was tough. And we just didn't do anything different. We just went and we just needed to qualify a little better. And the fact of the matter is now with the post-COVID races, we have these 5 coming up. We only have 2 qualifying runs. We're used to 4, at least 5 at the U.S. Nationals. So you cut that in half. Now you have 2 runs, and with a nitro funny car, anything could go wrong so easily. And one little timer off a 1/10 of a second, and your run is done. And so there's a chance of a big sponsored team, somebody way up in the points, not qualifying or qualifying bad and getting knocked out first round. And it happens so easily now with those 2 qualifying runs. So A, you got to get in the show. B, you got to be quasi aggressive. Now Tobler did that, and we won the Indy 3 race. But to answer your question, we didn't do anything different. It's funny how I rolled in there and I was almost a little bummed out. I'm like, God, I mean, what do we need to do? And all of a sudden we ran and we qualified better, got past first round, which we had Tim Wilkerson, who was like a final round guy. Like, it's like, you kidding me? We qualified good, and he struggled, and look who I got a race. But once we qualified decently and got by that tough first round, we were in our same mode we're always in. And it's so funny how you can show up on a Sunday morning and either qualified not so good or just things aren't right, or the crew chief, you can just tell he's had to change things on the car, and you're like, oh boy. And the next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock and you're standing in the winter circle, you're holding a wallet, and you look around and you go, I can't believe this. This is crazy. And even a big sponsored team, as many races as I've won and my crew chief and our team have won, you still get that feeling like you may never win a Wally again. They're so hard to do, especially in funny cars. So your question, what's it going to take to win? I would just wake up and go do what we do, and hope that everything falls into place. Do you want to meet up with Jack Beckman and Tommy or Hagan early because they're way ahead of us in points and we can gain it? Yeah, maybe. But you got to be careful. Sometimes you ask for that and it doesn't turn out so well. Points wise, we'd love to have some of those teams go out, even if it's our teammates, so we can make a big break and a big jump in the points. So much is going on with 5 races to go. Vegas, the last race, will be 1.5 points, like Pomona at the finals were before. So that's going to be cool. That'll be an extra incentive to have a little more points available the last race. So we just got to go do what we do and, just have fun. We just kept having to remind each other, this is fun. I get to drive a nitro funny car, and I need to have fun doing it. And when it wasn't fun, those first 2 Indy races, I think I think the gods can tell somehow. So we're just going to show up and do what we can do. And these 5 races will be, they're going to go by fast, but we just need to have fun doing it.
All right. Ron Capps, thank you so much for coming on, and good luck this weekend at the Gator Nationals, and we'll talk to you later on in the year.
Thanks, Casey. Hope we can do this again. Hopefully you win and get your mojo, and then we'll do this every week, huh?
Yeah.